but also because of the fact that it's fairly sunny and colors, and I like colors. Coastline is a very colorful map. So there you go. There's a bit of wholesomeness for you at the start of this matchup. But Glaz will be the first operator to be banned, and not too surprising, that's actually EG removing it from the table. An operator that we've seen Necrox playing quite a bit. That operator was removed against them yesterday versus Reciprocity.
And also, Necrox playing that role on this map in particular as well. Specifically against Accelerate Gaming earlier on in the season, in which Young and Necrox showed up huge for their team, when you saw some stumbles from both Canadian and NVK on the scoreboard. Jaeger, an operator who is banned in very specific circumstances, will get taken out by OrgLess. Interestingly enough, I would imagine that OrgLess is likely going to be running some very projectile and throwable heavy operators on attack. And then last but not least, often a formality, Echo will get banned.
Which always leaves us with Maestro, and I think it's Coastline. Having Maestro for you on the defense is just really a huge boon, and you really don't want to give it up.
Especially Mira. You also have a Mira now available here on Coastline too.
That is also a very good point. Yes, the Jaeger being banned out leaves out the Mira. Usually you would have seen a Mira Echo on this to be banned, but the first set will be Kitchen. So... And I'm not sure if we're going to switch out the Mira. Yeah, okay, makes a lot of sense. It's Gio that'll run the Mira. Actually played a pretty decent Mira yesterday in their matchup. So see if you can continue that streak. We'll see how those Evil Eyes will be played. Smoke, there's 2 sets of them on the Dokkaebi, or, well, 1 set of them on the Dokkaebi, and that should be able to combo fairly well with the Candelas, as we'll remind everybody of the oppressive times of the Ying Glaz metagame.
I was saying this to Michael. I was saying this to Michael a couple broadcasts ago. Remember when Ying had smokes?
Oh my god.
Just a one-person wrecking crew.
And you couldn't ban any operators, and you had to play against Ying Glaz every single time. Oh my god. It was Ying Glaz, Blitz, Finka, Lion, and you're like, why am I even here?
This is gonna hurt. It's basically what you say.
Yeah, you basically alt F4.
This is gonna hurt.
You alt F4 the instant you get into the game. You're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be fun. And then you know, Lion pops his E1D, and then the Blitz runs into you. Finka boosted as well. You get blinded by the Candela, and the it's just this is PTSD basically. Okay, that aside, that a bit of a rant. We're very happy with the place we're at. That's basically what we're trying to say. I'll see the defense even setting up extra mirror window in, oddly enough, they're setting it up inside of the Sunrise Bar.
It's a pretty good idea to be able to anchor down the bars, but it's made a lot more difficult with a lack of castle. If Gio doesn't have any coverage, this could be OrgLess reading the situation, taking command of those 2 doorways, and then just going from there. Also keep in mind that one of the biggest issues with the bar setup that is below is that if you can't control above it, that entire floor is totally destructible. And look at what OrgLess is bringing. They've got an Ash with 2 breaching rounds. They've got a Buck as well with all that skeleton key ammunition. And depending on what the Ying has, maybe Acid has breaching charges on the Ying. Though I would imagine that you're probably not going to use the Ying in that circumstance. But if you look at the lineup here, a Buck, an Ash, a Dokkaebi, and a Ying, it now begins to make a lot of sense why OrgLess specifically banned the Jaeger.
Yep, and this means that you're not going to be impeded at all. Your breaching rounds are going to go through, even if you choose to run the Zofia later on. Again, Candelas cannot be countered by the ADS because there's no ADS, so, you know, it's like, well, they can't destroy them if there's no Jaeger. That's the logic basically behind it here. Makes a lot of sense. And okay, MVK might net the free kill. No! See, Ghost is on Real GS is gonna run all the way back and prevent that kill. That would have been pretty huge to lose at the 2 smokes. Might go for reset even. There's still a decent chunk of time. Young will take a bit more damage, but he's still alive in Kitchen.
Now, it's going to be a bit of a crash course here for Unreal Ghost Sniper, as he's in a position where he's never played at this competitive level before. So I also urge the people that are just watching, just as a a bit of a nicety here, to go easy on people making their debuts. Very similar to when OG Ken's made his for Obey as well. Anywho, you lose Acid, you lose those Candelas. Unreal is also quite low. Oh no, Amar Necrox himself. He's going to take down 2 on Unreal and Brian, as Brian and Crazy get 2 frags immediately traded out. Canadian is there to eliminate Yeti. Crazy with that R4C in hand, peeks around the corner, he sees Necrox, unable to fetch the diffuser as he will likely have 1 body or 2 in his way. But no, actually completely unimpeded. And with 15 seconds to go, Crazy can begin to get the diffuse off in the doorway. And he can possibly make his escape. He does it. Evil Genius is with no information at all to know that Crazy has played this the way he has.
Oh.
Gumine's going down, but no, Crazy pops up. Wrong place, wrong time. NVK will get the kill that he needs. Examining what exactly Canadian was doing with the tablet in his hands.
Well, it wasn't. Examining his hands.
He was pantomiming.
Well, it says here that we're going to win the round, so there we go. Fortune telling. Definitely something that you can do in this game. It's a feature. But OrgLess losing out that first round, they had the advantages, but unfortunately losing out the Ying is definitely a huge loss for them. They weren't able to use the smokes effectively with the Dokkaebi. And then you combo Amar being so good at somehow landing long-range shots with a shotgun in the smoke.
Well, he downed both of them, and Unreal was so low that it made, I mean...
He wouldn't have survived.
There was no way Unreal was going to be able to do that. Even one of those small little pellets would have probably taken out the Dokkaebi with how low he was played. And, I mean, we don't really know the skill, and we can't really judge exactly the contributions that Unreal is going to have. He was a last-minute step in after my man stepped off of the roster, so definitely something, like I said, to keep in mind here. I would imagine that OrgLess are probably going to put him on roles where he's almost never going to be tasked with seeing action. Put him in a position where he can use his utility, he can use his secondary gadgets, and then that'll be it. And just have him enable the rest of the team. I think that's the strategy for OrgLess, unless Unreal has a great shot that we just don't know about and might be coming in and making an incredible impact. I mean, like I said, look at Tomas on Accelerate. He comes in, and he's not only able to compete at this high level, but he's also able to carry the team through a number of qualifier matches. And that team does not make it almost to the finals of the qualifier. Obviously, they fell to OrgLess, but they don't come anywhere near as close as they did, and they definitely don't topple Dark Zero without Tomas on that roster.
Very true. But Unreal will be back again on the Dokkaebi. So OrgLess will be setting up for a similar take as they did before, but this time, of course, it's a different site. It makes a lot of sense. You're running projectiles here. You have grenades. You're going to have breaching grounds. Everything's going to be unimpeded by ADSs. Of course, already the X-Kairos from the Habana are not going to get tagged by ADS. That was the thing in the past where you could use... This is basically the bane of every Jaeger's existence back in the day where, oh, Habana just shot one set of X-Kairos and all my ADSs are gone. That was a fun time. Just to remind you, the game gets better over time, by the way. Crazy will continue to drone out in the hallways, sets up his drone possibly for a counter to late round flanks. It peeks around. There's a lot of players on the defense will tend to roam and play inside of the security room just for late round flanks when you're defending up in hookah, which is the case here. And you mentioned it very, very effectively a few broadcasts ago, I believe like 1 week ago. We used to talk about this before where hookah was the least played site. And now it turns into basically the second most played site. And before, Penthouse was #1. Not the case anymore. Obviously, it's those operator changes and mostly the operator bans that have had a huge effect on the play rates of such sites.
Yeah, there was like a particular 2-day or 2 play day period where we saw something like, I can't remember what it was. It was like 20 rounds of Coastline, and we saw one defense of Penthouse. That was it. And it was really apparent at that point that, hey, you know, it's not the site that it used to be, and obviously, as you mentioned, a big part of that relies on the operator bans too. Canadian will start things off by taking out Yeti, and the often Buck player on attack will take out the new Buck player on attack, as this time he takes out Yeti. With the Pulse of Canadian able to give all that information. Brian gets down as the Heart Breacher peeks the doorway of offices down below. Acid will go for broke alongside these Dokkaebi logic bombs. Say goodbye to Necrox as he's Blair Witched in the corner, but Young will take out Acid, an immediate refrag. Unreal will meet his demise at his feet as a C4 blows him sky high. And Crazy, yet again, will be OrgLess' last hope. Not bothering to stop the phone, Canadian will be there to greet him, and Crazy will just be holed up at the doorway. He has a nice long angle all the way into the bars, but Canadian with the pre-fires will try to keep Crazy down. 2 FBI operators will tangle around this door frame. Crazy in just under 25 HP, Canadian at full health, and all the information being available to evil geniuses as to Crazy's whereabouts. The Ashman pushes up the stairs, running out of time and realizing that he had to make a move, and NVK will be there to shut him down.
Well then, you see for a lot of people, you know, they've been looking at NVK specifically as, oh, but he hasn't really been getting frags as he used to back on CTM, etc. That's not what he does now. He's running more of that flex support, and you can see it with the Maestro play. Again, the Maestro is going to be someone that's going to get kills in the ending parts of a round, not early on. At least some people, without going for spawn peaks, obviously. Those are things that happen every now and then. And it worked out pretty well for evil geniuses. All coming down to Canadian's picks early on, but then not only does he play that way, but he also has Geo to support him just in case. The minimum you get out of it is not only just more firepower, but the ability to refrag whenever possible.
Attackers need
So
to locate
we'll head down to the double bars, a site that has seen quite a bit of play so far. We'll see the setup that EG are bringing, and they will also bring a dock. I want to just check one thing, Marsu, if it can cycle between the castle and the dock to see if they're both bringing. Okay, there should be only one bulletproof camera. Okay, I will wonder where NVK puts it. What usually happens is at the desk area in the front desk, the back of it, you'll have a bulletproof camera that'll give information on any players coming in from there, or a Maestro camera. Both kind of work, but might just be NVK here to set things up in Aquarium, as we'll see EG putting quite a bit of utility on this side of it, and I guess the bulletproof camera will be set at the end of this hallway. No? Yeah, there we go. It's going to be set in there. It's going to have a bit of a double angle to see through the window on the outside of the balcony, and then as well through the luggage area. Pretty good spot.
You only need one bulletproof camera, given that you got the Maestro with 2 bulletproof cameras, right? So you've got the Evil Eyes available, which can do more than standard bulletproof cameras. They can, first of all, rotate and actually see more than just the unidirectional bulletproof cameras are. And then, of course, you can't actually shoot them. They're called bulletproof cameras, but you can still shoot them around the sides and the bottom, whereas you can't do the same with the Evil Eye unless it opens up.
Unplayable. There you go.
There's one castle barricade that goes down, and Geo on the other side will let out the familiar castle scream as he takes a tiny bit of damage, though sounds like he is in his death throes. That is
Arnold Schwarzenegger in the back there.
That, I guess, is as accurate as you can get.
I'm no voice actor, Parker, but try my best.
Great drop there as well from NVK to get off of site as you've contested about a minute. You've wasted a little bit of utility. You've eaten up a drone or two, and now EG can consolidate on site.
And I can understand dedicating more utility to vertical play just because you don't have Jaeger, right? So you need to force Crazy and the rest of the team to use as much of their utility as humanly possible before getting on the site, because once they do get to it, you don't have any nets to catch any flashbangs or breaching charges in there. And Yeti, well, taking a lot of damage there. On the opposite end, it's NVK fighting on the blue stairs, but he can stim himself back up. And the EpiPen will function, will keep him alive.
A very good way of putting it is that if you can burn a Candela or 2 on an entry just to flush out a roamer, that's a Candela or 2 that cannot be applied to the site, as you mentioned. And I think it's something that when a Jaeger ban is on the board, everybody needs to be conscious of utility usage from the attackers, because look at Yeti. He's used both of his frag grenades to take out castle barricades, and this slugfest that is ensuing now, breaking up my train of thought, will leave us in a 4v3, favoring OrgLess right now, but Canadian prone shuts one down, pulls out the Deagle, cannot connect with Yeti, so he'll get downed by the buck. Geo using the best of his abilities on that soft wall. Will net a very important kill. Phone's ringing, NVK could possibly get taken out by Yeti. The buck not too far off, 1 stim pistol remaining. He can possibly use that to try and get Geo up, but Plant going down successfully, and there's very minimal coverage. Unreal is currently very exposed. Plant goes down, but Geo finishes him off, and Yeti in a 1v2. Keep in mind he's a skeleton key, so he could potentially go for close range kills if need be. Also, it does appear that the defense are completely blind. With 0 intel available to them, NVK will use his last remaining stim pistol, but the Bucks position will be given away, and Gio is there to try to go for the refrag. Gio will grab it around the wall, through the rotate hole, and then an easy sprint on over to disable the diffuser with tons of time left. And EG will string 3 rounds together. And once again, we'll find, similar to the Rise match against SSG, 3 rounds, 3 victories, EG in good shape so far.
Commendable effort there by OrgLess, able to use your... Actually, they're utilizing too much of their utility before getting down on the site. Sure, yeah, they used grenades to clear out the barricades, breaching charges to take out any cameras, but in the grand scheme of things, they still had the Candelas, 3 of them, and they used it effectively to enter the site, have control of it, unfortunately with not enough manpower, as the gunfights were not won until the very end, and, well, you're in a 2v1, you win one gunfight, you're not really too cleared on winning the second one, and kudos to Gio actually realizing that, okay, I know exactly where he is now. The quick call that was given out by the doc, peeks around the corner, finds the kill, takes no damage from it, and that's all that it took. So, well done for the, I guess, game sense plus information relay to be very effective from EG. And now they put 3 rounds on the board. The map that EG themselves, at least Canadian, captain of the squad, has described as attacker favored. What some others, for example Ranger, would say, the closer teams are on said map, the more defender sided it becomes. So now the struggle for OrgLess is we need to put 3 rounds on the board. If we're gonna give EG even more rounds here on the defense, it's going to get complicated. One thing, though, to keep in mind is even though the Jaeger ban is going to be detrimental for defense more often than not, Mira is being used effectively by AG.
Just running the gamut here back to the kitchen, I wonder how much we'll see of a tightening on the way that OrgLess entried on this site in particular. The last time they had to attack kitchen, their first thoughts were to take VIP and then move from there. And that was really where the first altercation happened. That's where Unreal took quite a ton of damage because he was droning in the open. He ended up getting his arm shot up, I believe it was by NVK, on that very first interaction between the 2 teams. Now, obviously, when you're attacking kitchen, you want to be able to take control of above. What a shot from NVK all the way through the courtyard. And Brian, the sledge, with 1 set of frag grenades and one of your best tools to be able to put a lot of pressure onto the defenders, be taken out of the fray. There'll be Yeti left to try and carry that weight, and it's a good thing as well that OrgLess had that in mind to keep the flexibility, with Yeti having a very similar role to what Brian was likely going to have. It, however, sets you at a disadvantage in terms of man count, and additionally will likely prompt Yeti to have to stay upstairs in that circle couch / VIP area for most of this match. It's exactly what that soft destruction needs to be able to do, unless Acid's bringing breaching charges, and then you can possibly have him up there instead.
All right, Unreal again on the Dokkaebi. Just really like to use the smokes to their advantage. Though there's no combo with the Candelas of the Ink that we saw in the previous round. This time the attack from OrgLess will come in from the bars, instead of what we saw earlier on, where the attack was mostly focused on entryway directly into the stock and delivery for kitchen. NVK spraying into where the doorway would be, the entryway from the hallway, the bars, into kitchen, and trying to destroy as much utility as possible on the inside. As again, they won't have to worry here, OrgLess, about any ADSs. Yeti will find one on Canadian to take down the bandit. So no C4, I believe. I'm not even sure if it got used at any point. Just maneuvering around. Gio with a pretty pushed up position here, playing a roaming Mira. C4 used as a bit of a diversion here as he tries to fall back, and Yeti unsure now of the position of the Mira. It's very good smoke, and Mira's Acid, though, will find the kill and take down MVK. Gio to peek around. Still knows that Yeti is inside of small bar area, and he peeks out, unfortunately, on ADSs at the wrong moment. Diffuser will get set down, and Young will try to fight it back with Necrox.
It's Unreal laying down here. Both Yeti and Crazy are so low that this is a possible opportunity, but both bodies of OrgLess stacked up. Oh no, Yeti vaults in, Young takes him down. Crazy will be the last one yet again. I feel like this Ash main is always in a position where he's on his lonesome. But Necrox will peek after we hear the goo mine go off. It's a good gamble by Crazy, and I think the right move to make there. especially given the desperation. And you could hear the diffuser being worked on by Young. When you're in a 1v2, you have no chance but to try and take that fight. I mean, Young and Necrox, they were in a position with the goo mine, the information, and a numbers advantage, and a health advantage as well, to be able to win that. And barring some miracle from Crazy, everything went according to plan for Evil Geniuses through the later half of the post-plan. That's 4-0 now for EG.
I expected the diffuser to be set closer to the window, at least in a position where it would require the defense to get a bit more aggressive, but OrgLess in that situation were just happy to get the plant down ASAP. Their setup was supposed to be all played from above with the Buck. Unfortunately, the Buck got taken down as he was putting himself in a better position to try and fire down into the defenders as they went for that diffuser takedown. Unfortunately for OrgLess, the round will go EG's way. And again, Clutch will prevent OrgLess putting any round on the board. This time, they'll opt out of their older setup and they will go for Crazy again on the Ying. So more disruption, more oppression. And with having no ADSs to worry about, well, those Candelas are going to get pretty darn tough. And, you know, last time the attack came through Aquarium, the push was supposed to go on bar, right? Well, now at least you won't have to worry too much about wasting utility before an assault, because at least you're attacking directly into Aquarium.
Discovered the location of a bomb.
Something definitely to keep in mind. But Maestro here is going to be very effective. There's so many good positions for Maestro here, either on basically the small wall, protruding wall between billiards and the small bar. In the back of the site, you have one that's on the floor right next to the pool table, also very strong to give information, very difficult to deal with and spot. There's one in the hallway as well that gives you complete reign over anybody moving through it, and so at least OrgLess will have the utility to break down any of that sort of utility. No castle barricades to worry about on EG's side, so this way OrgLess know that they're not going to be wasting any of that utility on anything other than denying information or pushing players out of their bunker holes.
I do find it kind of interesting that EG is not running a castle on hookah, but has run a castle on the bar setup for the hookah upstairs.
Yep.
It just goes to speak about the vertical play that EG's trying to establish and realizes that obviously it's not there because when on hookah. Because when you attack hookah, you're usually going to have a Buck go below. And obviously, Yeti's going to play that Buck almost every single round.
Yeah, that's the Meister position I was talking about, by the way. The Evil Eye that is set right behind the pool table, or the billiards table. It's a very tough position to deal with just because you can't really arc and impact grenades over it if you're the Zofia, and you're going to see everything going in. That first Candela should have been just a distraction, and very well done, as EG will expend a decent chunk of utility, expecting the push to come, but it was only a decoy.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if there was a C4 that went out as well, but it was definitely a very good placed Candela because it drew out 2 toxic canisters from the smoke of Necrox, which means that there's only going to be one left with 1.5 minutes to go.
Yep.
Usually, with the 15-ish seconds that toxic canister is able to cover, depending on how brazen the attackers want to be, that's as good of a time as you're going to have. So, OrgLess, despite that strong start, you're going to put Crazy on the Ying this time. Yeti's going to find one, pulls out the pistol. Yeti, the double, the 2-piece with the pistol. Brian is there, and EG is getting locked out for the time being. But if there's an operator that is designed to clutch multiple people, well, it's going to be the Alda in the hands of NVK! 2 monstrous kills as Brian and Yeti get hosed down. NVK almost gets taken out by a Claymore, stops for just a second, and he will go back in, wading through what could be a trap set by the remaining attackers. He sees Unreal peek around the corner, cannot detach his head from his neck. Instead, he'll do it to Acid, and the newest member and the coach will be the last one standing. NVK's only 1 HP, and he knows he needs to get out of there as quickly as he can. Unreal will be exposed for just a second as he plants the bomb, or the diffuser down by the bomb. The Ash at full HP. 1 shot to any part of the body from the R4C will be more than enough. NVK has half the diffuser left to go. As he'll creep on up and look for the Ash. Perfectly hidden behind that hookah sofa. Trying to draw out the Ash. Just waiting for her to pop up, and a dare, almost. He's making an awful lot of noise. He's got so many bullets left. Takes an opportunity to reload. He's going to push on up. He might actually see the Ash. Oh! NVK, the clutch! He comes out of nowhere! And Nathan Valenti King with a huge moment. The man, absolutely insane.
Mission successful.
Evil geniuses. They'll take the 5th round. Nothing is shutting NVK down.
Better change his name to Nathan Venti, because that was a huge play. Let's be honest. And you said it at the start of it. If there is one operator that will win the rounds when you need a lot of ammo, guess what? It's El Maestro himself. And that was masterfully done, if I do say so myself, by NVK. That should be enough to silence many of the critics by this round. Absolutely huge here for EG. Time and time again, the fights are in their way. And 5-0, huge advantage. Now for the runners-up of the United States Nationals, be OrgLess.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
trying to
bomb.
fight back. Because that is, oh man, not a good spot to be in. And I wonder, had NVK been playing on any other operator, been able to bring back a round such as this one?
It's a nice 4K for NVK there. Unreal still looking for his very first kill in Pro League, and he's running out of time to do it. They're going to put him on the Montaigne instead. I think that's the wise call to make. You're going to put him on an operator. That very infrequently is going to get a single kill.
And again, you mentioned it early on, and I have to completely agree with this. You know, you can't be too harsh on him. It's his first time. He's coming in as a coach to play for the squad in this situation.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and
It's just, it's a complicated position to be in if you're Unreal. So we'll see how they actually run the Monty in this one. So NVK might just be going for the roam play here, running the Vigil in the meantime. Canadian on the dock, and NVK just maneuvering around the main lobby in the meantime to put himself in security room. Position that makes a lot of sense there, where you can disrupt drones and actually fight their opponents. So nobody's come into the office just yet. Crazy. Along the outside in the external balcony. And we'll just try to fight against anybody that moves in through there. So far, so good, but the camera's been broken right above him. He's going to watch the hatch. It's crazy. We'll move through Aquarium. Unreal, trying to penetrate through the defenses by the Sunrise Bar.
I wonder what you do at this point if you're OrgLess, because things just really aren't working. And I mean, I can understand my man stepping off of the team, whether it was more of a team decision or whether it was my man's decision alone. You have to question the timing of it. You know, what's the harm in playing one more match, possibly, either as the player or the team, just to try and figure out the first half? Because OrgLess as an aggressive team might not stack up well to EG, but a 5-0 on Coastline with the defense winning 5 rounds is not exactly the type of thing that you're expecting to see. Yep. And you can tell that the way that OrgLess is playing, they are missing a pretty pivotal part of that, with my man being gone. Now they get the very first kill for Evil Geniuses on Too Crazy, shutting down the Ash. Unreal sustained a little bit of damage, and that Montaigne is just kind of pushing on through.
And Geo, though, has complete tabs in Zofia upstairs, and should be able to peek around them. 2 more drones being picked off as Acid will find 1 takedown. Geo, Yeti with 1. Brian, though, losing the fight here. Acid finally finding the black eye there of the Valkyrie. Acid peeking through the hatch pre-opened, but it's 3v2, and one of those 2 left on the attack is a shield. That's the Monty, not the Blitz. Necros going to get healed up back to pretty much full HP, around the 90 mark. And I'm not sure if he has any smokes left, but that's the perfect spot to have those toxic babes thrown out into the Monty. Acid coming in from behind the shield as the Roman Legionary basically trying to save the day. Necrox will get shot down before he can do anything with the smoke, but baited into the fire. Acid will take a bit more damage, trying to utilize whatever utility he's got in hand. He's playing the Polish operators, the Polish player, but no! Canadian finds the long-range angle again. Now it's all up to Unreal as he tries to scope in and out. Unfortunately, does not work at all. EG 6-0 sitting at the half, and they were playing defense on Coastline. Oh, man.
I'm actually really impressed that Canadian was able to hit those shots on the dancing shield. Full QEC right there.
Yeah, it's
just full QEC.
If he was a Blitz, we would have been talking about, you know, completely different results. Or
the ballroom Blitz, my man. That's what it would have been.
It is a great song, by the way.
So let's change on over now. OrgLess will be on defense. OrgLess did muster 2 successful plants, and both times, or actually rather 3 successful plants, rather, as they got 1 on the double bars in round 3, 1 on kitchen in round 4, and 1 on hookah in round 5. None of them were successful for OrgLess in the post plant. How is EG going to play this one now? This is a possible 7-0 that is looming. We haven't had a lot of them in Pro League so far, not this season.
Nope.
Actually shaping up to have a pretty quick day, all things considered. Reciprocity and Dark Zero took the full 12, but SSG and Rise sent us home early. Unless OrgLess is going to muster one of the most impressive comebacks we have ever seen in the history of Pro League, then we're going to be sent home early on this match as well.
Yep. I mean, so far in North America, we haven't had a single 7-0, right?
Right?
Yeah, 100%. So,
though the first team on the new Pro League rules to 7-0, interestingly enough, was Space Station at DreamHack Winter.
very true.
So it was technically a North American team. It's like they used up their 1-7-0 against Mini Golf Guta. And there was 2-7.
One of the most proficient esports teams.
That was a heartwarming story.
It was.
If not for the usual reasons, it was still a heartwarming story.
Yeah, well, it was. Unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things, you're not really expecting much. You know, if you don't know the story of Mini Golf Guta, make sure you go on Reddit later on and check it out, as I think it was covered pretty much in detail, even certain news outlets relaying the info.
Yeah, there was an interview on them. It was a bunch of, I believe it was a bunch of
CS
Danish?
players.
Swedish or Danish players that had never really played Rainbow6. They are actually signed up for another game, but then they ended up getting put into the Rainbow6 bracket. They said, why not? We'll do it. And I think it ignited something in
I hope they had fun.
Now, I don't know what it is with EG and Coastline matches, but they crushed Accelerate Gaming here, and now they're doing the same thing. I think the moral of the story is, well, maybe don't take EG to this map in particular. But EG will circle the wagons very fast. They're not too far off of the site. You can hear the first of Necrox's logic bombs going off. Canadian takes out Unreal, so he will not be able to grab a kill this round. As Crazy refrags onto Necrox. The only set of smokes from EG will vanish as the Dokkaebi falls. Crazy also went for a run out earlier on. So you can tell that since he's the Doc, he's just going to run around and peek everything, which is a great opportunity with our French operator to be able to get the most mileage out of one of his greatest strengths. Young might take a heads-up fight here, but he's going to have barbed wire in front of him and a goo mine as well, as Unreal wasn't able to get that many goo mines down before he perished, but it will at least somewhat slow the advances of EG.
Yeah, losing Dokkaebi is going to lose you out on those 2 smokes, but again, this does put NVK in a better spot. Oh no! NVK turning around at the last second. And Acid will clean him up. Now EG, 3v4. Have to walk into the desk, and Canadian spots one vaulting right behind the desk. And no, the bopping up and down. Acid again will find a second one. Young though, oh, what a shot. All the way across from downtown, he'll get one. Still, huge advantage for the defense. At least one thing that EG can be happy about is the fact that they have a ton of time to play with, and basically the only goo mine left on the entire map just happens to be in front of Geo.
He finds it, though. They don't have the IQ for NVK to find it, but I mean, I suppose that an EMP-less Thatcher is capable of doing that, though he still has 1 EMP. The second goo mine, actually, Geo's going to get pushed from multiple angles, unable to connect, and finally, OrgLess will put a round on the board. It comes with them staring down the barrel of match point, and they will sit on that match point for the remaining 5 possible rounds. But still, EG in great striking position, and on a map that typically was described as Canadian as it sucks to defend. We now have a perfect defensive scoreline through 7 rounds.
Very true. Yep. But now, is this going to turn into our second 7-1 of the evening?
Possibly.
Very possible. The advantage still swings very heavily to the side of Evil Geniuses, so gotta worry about that. IQ is going to be in play again here. Not sure if EG will go for a 6th pick, and it looks like they won't. Yeti actually opting out of the Mira. Hookah Billiards, I'll be running the Valkyrie. And honestly, makes a lot of sense. That's a site we're expecting smokes, so Mira can get easily shut down. I wouldn't be too surprised
Defenders, protect your
seeing
bombs from
that
being defused
6th
by
pick.
attackers.
Of course, with the Maestro in play, as well as Doc, you're going to have plenty of information using their basically bulletproof cameras at that point, or better bulletproof cameras for the Maestro. We'll have a lot of information as well via the black eyes of the Valkyrie of Yeti. We'll see if OrgLess can actually use that information to translate into early game kills. As we saw in the previous round, when that happened, and denying refrags for EG. It ended up working very well for them. Keeping in mind, though, that still NVK was basically not droned at all from the security room into
5 seconds left.
the desk area, the front door.
Activating camera.
I'd imagine that we're probably going to see the same amount of aggression out of OrgLess that we saw in the last round. That's especially crazy in particular. I'm just keeping a very keen eye on Unreal. I want the man to get a kill. That's what I really, really want.
Camera in position.
Okay.
But it's going to be tough. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
It'll be Unreal if he gets it.
Spawn peek from Crazy, heading out, looking towards the main doors. As EG's first area of attack is going to be on over towards the master side of things, over by Penthouse. There's one body watching the drop, but will not be able to get the drone from Young. This Crazy will now move on over to VIP, and he might be under siege here at multiple angles. Looks at the big window over by the circle couch, bobbing on up and down, and will take some comfort over by the DJ equipment. But a quick record scratch, and that's Necrox to get the very first kill, and will open things up for Evil Geniuses. Crazy, who was on the move, wasted about a minute's worth of time, which is good. But you take out one of only 2 ACOGs that were available to OrgLess, and the only major sustain that you had. EG should be able to take control and command of half of the top floor of this site, or of this map, rather. As it is Hookah, and they will need to try to push onwards. The moment that luggage falls in EG's favor and they can get one body over on the Hookah balcony is when things will get particularly punishing for OrgLess.
Yeah, and in this case, of course, OrgLess are mostly running on a horizontal defense. They're basically spreading the butter, making sure it's all over the map, but on the same horizontal plane. Nobody playing from below, excuse me. As a lot of times when that is happening, you'll see a Pulse, you'll see a Mute playing together, and they're going to try to run some C4s, taking control of the bars. In this case, none of that. See, OrgLess have set up in and around the site. Nobody in those bars. That's completely clear. Something that EG will not have to worry about, at least for the time being. Unreal, Brian, and Acid pulling off between Hookah and the hallway, which leaves only one player away. That's Yeti. Has a C4 in hand. I wonder if he'll rotate back on call for his teammates, and he is now in the bar. So you would be expecting some sort of C4 play from him later on, but look at that. The IQ is watching, and I love the play of the Habana. Not many teams have actually been doing this, but they actually get free utility with it.
There is a Valkyrie camera that was positioned on one of the speakers over top of the billiards table, so as long as that hasn't been picked off by NVK, that information will still be available to Yeti later on. NVK will be positioned on flank watch, so nowhere near able to take out the Valkyrie camera. Canadian falls to Yeti early on. Brian taking quite a bit of damage. Smokes go off. Brian takes out Young, doesn't matter, but oh man, kills starting to pile up with NVK and Geo getting 2. Brian dropping 1. It's Unreal, Ghost Sniper, and Brian left. Geo takes out Brian, and EG is 1 away. There you go. EG will complete the match in beautiful fashion. NVK opting not for the vault, but for the crouch hole instead. A 7-1 scoreline. A bit of a...
I love this. I absolutely love this.
It sure is something. A promising debut for the coach and for Unreal Ghost Sniper, even though he wasn't able to find his way onto the scoreboard. Well, at least he was able to step in, and that's what matters most for OrgLess. A valiant effort, but still, EG, absolutely clobber OrgLess.
Yeah, and it's not surprising. EG have been extremely comfortable with any team they play against, any map that they're taken to. Everybody, as you saw on the scoreboard, was doing work, putting stuff up there. It means that teamwork is working, and it's functioning well between all the players on EG's side. And when they are a well-oiled machine. When that is in play, which is most of the time, you're not really going to be able to stop EG.
I think that was their second 7-1, because if I recall, the Accelerate matchup was a 7-1 as well earlier on in the season.
Yes, that is, and they played on Coastline again.
Yep. So there you have it.
You're comfy in Coastline.
So they like that map, even though it does haunt them, as it was the scene in which they lost to the team now known as G2 for the Invitationals last year.
Excellent call, by the way, there. The Pengu clutch of the Habana.
Well, thank you. I tried my best.
That was, well, it's good.
I tried my best.
I expect you to try your best.
It was a big moment.
Exactly. I expect you to try and do your best in that situation. It was pretty darn exciting. We'll see if that actually happens at 6th Invitational in just a bit.
Yeah. And Evil Geniuses will be in action in Montreal, so they're going to have a brief break until they end up either boot camping or going into the event. But first, before we sign off on them for this first half of the Pro League season, we have an interview with Canadian ready, who's likely going to be pretty fired up, but actually looks very subdued and almost saddened, despite the fact that it was a 7-1 over OrgLess. Congratulations, first and foremost.
Thank you.
Now, you saw last night that OrgLess tweeted that my man was off of the roster and they were bringing Unreal in. What were you anticipating with them bringing a coach in, fresh off the bench, never played a Pro League match? Did you expect that they were going to be super aggressive to try and make up for that, or did you think they were going to play a bit more reserved and scared, knowing that they didn't have the full breadth of strats with the newer member to the team?
Yeah, we figured they play aggressive. They play operators like Montaigne, like Yang. Even figured they do like some funky bands, just like they did with Jaeger. So we just kind of were prepared for that. I mean, we've lost to it before, so I think we learned our lesson. We need to play close together, force them to make the plays. They'll kind of play into our hand, and yeah. Now,
interesting that you went to Coastline. Now, this is shaping up to become one of your best maps in terms of your performances, especially over Pro League. You're 14-2 on Coastline this season. If my memory served me correctly, you might have played it a third time, but it's not popping into the top of my head. Are you surprised that Coastline was the map that you ended up playing on?
No, we expected it. We know they like it as well. We figured that they would ban out other maps. We banned Border and Oregon, two of their stronger maps, to our knowledge, and also really good maps for when you're subbing in a player. They're pretty easy to pug. So, yeah, just kind of got rid of those maps, played. We were fine with Bank, we were fine with Villa, and we were fine with Coastline. We figured they'd go to Coastline since it's always been a map that they kind of lean towards.
Right. Now, your matchup yesterday against Reciprocity was the first loss of the season for you and the first time that you've dropped points throughout the course of these 7 weeks. Now, you're going to be heading into Montreal, and then you've got another half of the season to go with. It's shaping up in North America to be a very competitive three-way race, and while your team has always consistently sat on the top of the leaderboards, how do you keep that fresh in your mind, knowing that Reciprocity and Dark Zero aren't really losing games either, and you've got 7 more games ahead of you to ensure that you go to the season finals at the end of Season 9?
We're thankfully in the position where we control our own destiny, right? We don't need them to lose. We don't need them to tie. As long as we play our game, we're fine. So we kind of have that in mind, whereas they need to sit there and pray that we start losing or tying. So just focusing on our game more than anything. We kind of had a rough match yesterday. I take a lot of the blame for that. I kind of froze up as a captain in the game and didn't make some of the calls that we needed to make, and ended up losing just by 1 round, 5-7. So I don't know. It happens. I think we learned from it. I think it'll help us a lot in the future, especially going into Invitational. And yeah, appreciate Reciprocity holding on to our spot for a day.
Now, after the Invitationals are done, theoretically, unless something changes, both Kaid and Nomad will be removed from their evaluation period, and hot off of the Montreal event, you'll be playing those 7 play days with presumably a pretty big meta shakeup. How do you as a team captain and how do you as a team transition so fast from as heated an event as the Invitational is to all the prep work that needs to be done to get ready for 2 new operators coming in, likely new bans, new loadouts, new strats, etc.?
It's kind of a matter of just getting right back into the grind, like after the event, making sure that we're testing things out and learning how to respond to certain things. So just kind of hopping back into things. Also, Gotcha helps out a ton with that. Takes a lot of the worry off of our shoulders, and he can develop things. Even right now, he can kind of like passively develop like stuff with those operators and keep it in mind. So big part's Gotcha, to be honest.
He seems to have been a boon for your team, not just in terms of the strats that he provides, but also being able to step in and help as a player on the few occasions that he's needed to. Final interview with your brown hair until you dye it blue for the event. Anything to say to the fans, the viewers, etc.?
Thanks for supporting us. Sorry for the disappointing result yesterday, I guess. I know everyone wanted us to keep on that streak. Unfortunately, couldn't finish with a flawless half, but finished out in first place nonetheless. So, yeah, appreciate all the support. Hope to see you guys supporting us in Montreal at the Invitational, and hope we can make you proud.
Good luck going into the Montreal event, to the Invitational, and we'll see you in Quebec.
Thank you. See you there, Parker.
Thanks. I know how badly they wanted to finish flawlessly.
Yeah.
Like, no team wants to lose, let's be honest.
Disappointing.
But when you got a
Honestly.
streak like that going.
It's bound to happen. It happened to G2. It only makes sense that it happens to EG as well.
18 to 21 points through their first half of the season is pretty damn good, if we're being honest.
They are just rolling over everybody at this point. I'm very impressed with EG. At least the online phase so far. Having the entire squad together is pretty darn good. I really hope... I'm not sure about this, if they're going to boot camp prior to Invitational.
EG will be boot camping,
yes. Yeah, it makes sense because they did the same thing for Rio. They spent around a week to 10 days somewhere in Canada preparing as well for it. So it would make sense they would repeat the same. And I'm pretty excited to see what they bring to Invitational, as that's the next time we'll see them playing in the group stages of said tournament, trying to take the crown back from G2 that they lost last year, as the core of the squad were the winners of the very first Invitational, and they're looking for vengeance this time. That's a big storyline heading into it.
Vengeance will be top of mind for them, especially a more impressive performance after what happened in Rio with, I think, a pretty embarrassing defeat that happened and stunned a lot of people. But the other thing, too, that Reciprocity EG matchup yesterday was incredibly electric. I don't know exactly like how the seeding is going to work out for the Invitational, but if both Reciprocity and EG make it out of groups, I would really like to see them play in either the quarters, the semis, possibly even the finals. I don't really care when. I just want to see them play on stage against each other, because Reciprocity on LAN versus EG on LAN, it's going to be a hell of a show.
That was very close. I would rank it very close to Rogue versus EG last year's Invitational, which was a beautiful game.
Rogue versus Obey at Paris as well. So
exactly.
But with that said, speaking of Rogue, they're going to be in our final matchup of the day. They're going to be competing against Accelerate. Both teams have a lot on the line as they try to make up for lost ground after a bit of a disappointing start to this season. We have our final matchup in just a couple minutes. We'll see you in a few.